In this video, I'm going to be covering a workout plan that I have specifically tailored for those individuals who only have 3 days a week to train, okay? And this is going to be a beginner to intermediate workout plan for 3 training days per week. So if you are kind of an intermediate lifter, been lifting for a couple years, looking to change it up, or you are just kind of brand new and want to get started into the gym, this is going to be able to work for both of those individuals. Okay, and this is not some chat GPT nonsense that I just, typed in and got a prompt back. This is something that I specifically sat down and created for you using 15 years of trial and error and just my overall workout experience from, like I said, working out for the last 15 years. All right, let's get into this workout plan, which I've specifically made to you. And why is this important? Okay, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Right? It's important to have somewhat of a plan. Now, I think that some degree of winging it is great. I think that's definitely a good thing, right? Like maybe you don't want to have every single workout planned out that you're going to do that day. But when you're going to the gym, you should at least know what it is exactly you're going to be working out. Okay, so over here, you have 2 versions of me, right? You have a version who was winging it, a gym enjoyer and a beverage enjoyer of sorts. And then you have this me on the right, which has a plan for everything. Every calorie is tracked. Every workout is tracked. Everything is, where it needs to be. So this is a 5-year difference, 10 years to get here, 5 additional years to get there. The tiers of effort that you can add over time are really going to have big impacts on your gains. Okay, so what are we going to be covering today? We're going to be covering just the basic workout structure, how it's going to look, and then I'm going to be talking about how you can tailor the program for your individual goals. And I have example workouts, like the entire day of the workout planned out with alternative sets, reps, and rest times. And I actually have it set up in a way so that when we get there, you can just screenshot it. You can just screenshot the workout day, save it in your phone, and then when you go to the gym, you can just pull up that screenshot and it has your whole workout right there. Okay, so I have it all for you. It's ready to go. All you need to do is just do the work. That's all you got to do. So what's a basic workout look like? Potentially you've heard of it before. Okay, it is a variation of the push-pull legs or chest legs back is what I'm calling it. Okay, so it's the chest legs back, and you want to reorder the days in a way that works best for you. I have a couple options here, just kind of a couple ways you could lay it out. So if you wanted to do more of a back focused, you could do this means chest, rest, back, rest, rest, legs, rest. Okay, so if you want to do a back focus, you could put that back day in the beginning, or if you want to do a leg focus, you kind of put that legs in the beginning of the day, and the beginning of the week. The way I have this set up is so that what you want is 2 days in between legs and back, 2 days of rest, and we'll kind of go into exactly why that is. But the reason that we have it set up like this is back focused, because if you look after our legs, we have a rest day, and then we have a chest day, and then we have another rest day, and then back. So there's 3 days away from after your legs before you get into your lower body stuff. And again, we'll get into why that's important here in a little bit. And just kind of examples, if you're just a Monday through Friday gym goer, here's some other ways you could run this. You could run it rest Sunday, and then do chest and then legs, and then rest, back on Friday, and then rest on Saturday. And then there's another example here. So just different ways you can plug this program into your schedule. Again, the important part is 2 days off between legs and back. And I'm going to cover some variations in here so that if you think your lower back is fine, your lats are fine, you want to build your traps, cool. Or if you think your traps are fine and you want to build a lower back, we can switch things around to meet your goals. All right, so here's what the chest day looks like. And again, you can go ahead and screenshot this. Boom, got it in your phone. You can it's all right. You can cut me out of the screenshot. I won't be mad. So screenshot that and boom, that's in your phone. You got your chest day right here. So the thing is, I'm starting this with a pec fly. I call them a wake up set. And I really, really like doing these wake up sets. And essentially what that is just doing an isolation movement before you go and do your big compound lift. So in my opinion, it helps to get things warmed up. You got blood in your muscle, your tendons are kind of warm. I think there's a reduction of injury risk there. You're already getting pre-pumped, so it's easier to feel that target muscle when you go and do your big compound lift. And to me, it just kind of generates an overall better workout experience. And I don't think there's actual real strength losses from doing it this way. Like, I don't think you're really going to see an impact, a big negative strength impact on your chest work by doing pec flies first. I just don't think it is. So here's what I would do. I would do about 2 sets in 12 to 14 rep range, and I would do about 90 seconds of rest. And I do think I have a watch. I time all my rest periods. I do think that rest is important, rest between sets. A lot of times people don't rest enough, and they're not giving their body enough time to recover and actually really work the muscles you're trying to work. They're just kind of doing cardio. So that was me for a long time. So if you really want to, if you get in there and the pec machine or the pec fly machine is taken, it's fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. Just go ahead and do your chest movements first, and then do your pec flies later. Okay. So ideally after you do your wake up sets or your pec flies, then you want to get into your main movement, which is going to be your incline press of some kind. So I think that the highest tier of options is just regular barbell incline bench. Right? And basically every gym has one of these. If you don't have one of these, then you can, go to the Smith machine, bring a bench over to the Smith machine, and that works just fine. And I think the third option would be dumbbell, but I prefer a barbell for these exercises. Again, I would do this for 3 sets, and I would pyramid the weight up in a 14, then 10, then 8 rep range, getting about 2 minutes of rest apiece. So the reason you pyramid the weights, the reps like this, is because we're adding a little bit of weight to each set, right? And hopefully this is what's going to help us drive that progressive overload at a time, over time. What you don't want to do is get in the habit of always putting the same weights and just doing 3 sets of that exact same weight, because then you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over again, which, it's okay as long as you're in the gym working. But I think doing it like this, you're going to have a lot better chance at really forcing that progressive overload over time. So after our main lift, then we're going to jump over to a shoulder press. And I have the main shoulder press variation that I would do here is a seated dumbbell. Okay, and the reason that we're doing a seated dumbbell is because I believe from my experience that when you're doing a seated dumbbell shoulder press, and this is kind of doing it with your shoulder, really your elbow kind of in line with your body, kind of farther back, doing them like this, you're going to target a lot more of the side delt. Okay, if you kind of have your elbows more in, then you're going to be doing a lot more front delt. And we don't need to hit that as hard because we're already getting some good front delt activation with our main movement on incline. You're getting a lot of chest and you're getting some front delt in there. So that's why specifically on the shoulder press, we have elbows out kind of farther back so that we can get more outer delt activation. And if you don't want to do dumbbell, like that, barbell is fine. I just want to let you know why I have it set it up like this. So after that, we're going to move over to the flat press, just any sort of, just your barbell, regular bench press. This could also be done on the Smith machine as a variation if you want to, or as a third option, a machine press, some kind of machine, some sort of machine where you press straight away from you, or dumbbells. I'm not like a super huge dumbbell fan. I think they're kind of cool in some situations, but dumbbells overall, it seems like you do a little bit less weight because they're kind of, a little more wobbly. And I always feel a lot of, I don't know, once you kind of start moving a little more weight, I'm not saying I lift crazy weights or anything, but just, flicking up, using your arms to pop up the 90s or the 80s and then kind of roll back. It's a lot of risk, in my opinion, that I think isn't necessary. So, and I'm kind of a very I'm a lift for longevity type individual. I don't want to get any injuries at all. So I don't do a ton of dumbbell work just because I don't want to get in some weird torqued position where I accidentally slip and I don't know, pop my shoulder out or do something, something stupid like that. Anyways, so on that flat press, we're going to do 2 sets and we're going to keep it in the 2-minute rest range. Okay, and when these sets on here, these are working sets. Okay, so it's definitely okay to do a couple warm-ups. If you want to do 1 or 2 warm-up sets before you really get cranking on the pec fly. And again, with the incline, do a couple warm-up sets of 7. That's fine. Just you're not struggling at all. You're just kind of getting the movement warmed up. So on your flat press, I think it's good to keep it somewhere between 12 and 6 reps. I don't think, and this is a beginner to intermediate-ish workout, we don't really need to go much lower than 6 reps. This is kind of the lowest rep that we're going to get in this exercise for the chest day. And this is just to keep that raw strength up. Okay, so just a couple sets of going hard on the bench press is going to be great. Another variation you can throw in here is I have a slingshot. If you've ever seen those, it's like a rubber band. You kind of put your arms through it, and it allows you to get some assistance out of the hole, and you can press a little bit more than you normally could. I think that's a good variation. But as long as you're getting some kind of flat pressing variation, that's the important bit. So after that, we're going to move on to a tricep exercise. And so you want to do at least 2 sets. Okay, and so I would do 1 set that targets the long head and 1 that targets the short head. Okay, what the heck does that mean? All that means is when you're picking your tricep exercises, it's fine if you do just 2 sets, because at this point we're doing a lot of tricep work with everything else. When you're doing your triceps, just pick 1 exercise where your elbows are down to your side and 1 tricep exercise where your elbows are up. Okay, your elbows up is going to work more of the long head, and because it's going to be in the most stretched position. And then when your elbows are down to your side, you're going to be working a lot more of the short head. Okay, so as long as you get 1 of each, you should be fine. Just make sure you're really, really trying on those sets. And the whole thing is, the whole workout it's only going to be as good, give you as much as you put into it, right? It's not going to work if you don't work, right? So at the very end, you want to do some lateral raises, do 1 or 2 sets, just kind of doing some burnout sets. Again, keep it in the 15 to 20 range. I'm doing that because, again, it's kind of like a longevity thing. I'm not trying to break anything. I just want to get the muscle working, create some kind of stimulus for growth, and just start to see, good progress over time. All right, so that is the chest day. What does the leg day look like? All right. So our leg day going to be kind of similar in the sense that we have our wake up sets here. And so those could be you could do the leg curls first. Kind of, I have it as a note on here. You can swap to the first position, curls, then extensions. But I think you should be doing some kind of leg curl and some kind of leg extension before you get into your main movements. Okay, and I think this is especially important for lower body squatting. You're going to get all your hips, and your hips and your knees and everything warmed up, and it'll just help you kind of get those muscles activated. And again, kind of the same thing with chest. In my opinion and my experience from what I've seen, I have not seen like big drops in strength from even going to failure multiple times on leg extensions. It's not like you're going to get over to the squats and you're not going to be able to squat anymore. It's going to get everything fired and ready to go. All right. Okay, so when you're doing these, I would stay in the 3-set range, 12-ish to 14 reps, and I would try to keep 2 minutes rest in between all those. And like I said, it can be done later in the workout. If you get in the gym and somebody's on the leg curl machine and somebody's on the leg extension machine, it's fine. You can do squats first in the workout. You won't die. Okay, it'll be fine. I'm just saying this is the best way, in my opinion, I think, to order it. But like if you do it slightly out of order, it's going to be okay. Okay, you're going to be fine. So, and then adductors is what you're going to want to do afters. And I have in the notes here inner thighs or good girls, just so you can kind of remember. There, it's the leg machine where you get on where you bring your knees together. Okay, and it's going to be working the inner thigh. This is often something that's very slept on. This makes up a very large portion of your leg, and people just don't really work these out. Okay, so you don't have to go crazy with the weight or anything. Just get a good stretch, get a good contraction. Just feel the burn on those things. Okay, 2 sets, 14 to 16 reps, just to get everything nice and tight, and that should get you where you need to be. Again, you want to do 2 minutes rest on those. It just gets everything warm. It kind of just, as long as you get those 3 knocked out, you'll be good to go. All right, and then you're going to move on to your main movement. And my preferred main movement for the legs is going to be the barbell squat. I think that the barbell squat is going to put more mass on your legs than anything else on this list. That's just my personal opinion. Although I don't think leg extensions are a huge mass builder in my opinion, but I do think leg extensions are essential for having nice legs that are very defined. Like when you go and you actually flex your quad, I think the leg extensions really is what gives you the separation of all those muscles. I think you can have like a big, meaty, thick legs with just squats, but the leg extensions are really going to carve them up and make them look nice. So again, you want to do about 3 sets of that. And I like to do like a 12, 10, 8, kind of pyramiding the same way up that we were doing with the incline press. So we'll just add a little bit of weight each time and really push yourself. And legs is one of those things where, like, if you feel like, once you feel like you have like 1 rep in the tank, you probably have like 5 or 7 reps in the tank on legs. And no other muscle group is kind of like that. Like if you're doing chest and you feel like you have 1 rep left in the tank, there is just no way you can grind out 5 more reps. It's not possible. But legs, it just kind of is like that. And you really got to dig deep when you're working out your legs. If you want them to grow, you got to get uncomfortable with it, okay? It's not going to be fun. And so those are going to be 3 minutes rest on those. It's using a whole lot more of your body. You notice we pumped up the rest by 1 minute on that compared to everything else. And I think that's really important because squats just take up so much of your energy. And, just give yourself an extra minute to rest there before you get into your next set. Your main priorities of those are going to be your barbell and then, like a Smith machine or a hack squat machine if your gym has one, or a leg press machine if needed. In my opinion, I don't think the leg press machine is as good as just doing regular squats, but I guess they'll work if you really, really don't want to do squats, but I think you should. And then I have RDLs on here, and I got some stars next to this as 3 sets, 12, 12, 12, heavy, 2 minutes rest per piece. And this is only if your recovery will allow, and you may have to separate your deadlift or swap your deadlift. And this is on your back day. Okay. So when you start out, don't do these RDLs. Okay. If you do your leg day and you do leg day for a couple weeks and you get into leg day and you're like, okay, I've been recovering really well and I can really handle a little bit more on my legs, especially just pay attention to how your hamstrings are feeling. If your hamstrings are feeling good, then start ripping some RDLs. Okay. Add in RDLs to the program, which is Romanian deadlift or stiff leg deadlift. And you can do these again with a barbell or dumbbells or even on a Smith machine. And this is one of the few areas where I would suggest straps might be a good idea, just because it's hard to hold enough weight for long enough to do a good set of RDLs. So if you need a strap up for those, that's fine. And then here's the other thing is you may have to separate or swap your deadlift out for rack pulls. Okay. And so we're going to be doing deadlifts on our back day, and we're going to be doing squats and everything on our leg day. Okay. So if by the time you get back to leg day and your hamstrings are too sore from your deadlift work on your back day, that's why we don't have these on here right away. Okay, because this is not necessary. So it's basically like if you can make it through your deadlifts, okay, and you still have more juice that you want to squeeze out of your hamstrings, here's how we do it. Okay, add it in right here. And then if you're an individual who needs to take out deadlift completely out of your back day, well, then you can just go ahead and throw RDLs into your legs. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so we have all this stuff above the stars. Keep all this in there, except the RDLs. Those are for adding in later if your hamstrings can handle it and if you can keep up with the recovery. All right, now for the back day, how's the back day looking? So again, we're going to be doing some wake-up sets that I really like, and we're going to be doing lat pullovers with these. If you don't have a true lat pullover machine, that's fine. Not a lot of gyms do. You can do this on just a regular cable with a straight bar or an angled bar. Just kind of have the weight out in front of you and kind of bring that weight down and just really focus on squeezing and stretching the lats. We're just going to get them woken up and kind of get everything in the back firing, moving, and loose. So you're going to do about 2 sets of these, 14 to 16 reps, somewhere in that range. And you're going to be doing 2 minutes of rest for each of those. All right, so and these could be swapped with cable face pulls. This is just when you take the ropes and you kind of pull the ropes right towards your face and kind of really focus on flexing the traps and the upper back. Now, in my opinion, these do nothing for actual like building the size of the upper back. Again, kind of like similar to what I was talking about with leg extensions, except I think what these I think what these do is just kind of help you be able to feel everything in your upper back and just be able to engage, right? So you want to be able to contract your traps and like feel what that feels like. I think this is a good way to do that. Now, our main movement when you get in there and start to work your back is going to be the deadlift. And so we're going to do 3 sets of deadlift at a 10-8-6 interval, and just kind of like we're doing with all of our other main movements, we are intentionally pyramiding up with the weight in order to purposely drive progressive overload over time. And again, kind of like squats, because deadlifts are so taxing, I would suggest at least 3 minutes of rest in between sets of those. So your alternate, if you don't want to do deadlifts, but you want to stay upper back focused, and deadlifts is going to focus on building the upper back, and it is going to involve some hamstrings like we kind of touched on earlier. If you really want to stay upper back focused and you can't do deadlifts, what I would suggest is a rack pull above the knee. Okay, so this is when you would go into a power rack and you have the bar set so that when you're standing up against the bar is just barely above your kneecaps, right? And you're going to have a lot more weight on the bar than you could regularly deadlift. and you're just going to be working essentially the top half of the motion of a deadlift. So just the portion above your knee. You would do those for the same reps and everything. Just kind of, I think this is another area where one of the few areas where I think straps are definitely going to be okay in this situation. So yeah, get after that, rack pulls above the knee. After the deadlift, then we're going to be moving on to the Yates row. All right, and we're only going to be doing 2 sets of these. Do them somewhere in the 16, 10, 8 rep range. When you're just learning the movement, I would say stay higher up in the rep range. But once you kind of get more comfortable with it, then you can kind of push down, adding more weight and getting into those lower rep ranges. And so these are also kind of taxing on the body. You could definitely do somewhere in the 2.5 to 3 minute rep range. Now the Yates row is essentially a barbell row, but it is a lot more upright, right? You're not like really bent over that far. Your torso is almost at a 45-degree angle. And when you're pulling the bar, you're basically pulling it like at your belly button. This Yates row is really going to engage the lats, okay? Nothing put meat on my lats quite the way that these Yates rows did, okay? I used to feel like the next day after I did them, I could just like punch somebody with my lat. They felt amazing. And so if you're like not really worried about your traps and your upper back, and you would just prefer to just kind of build more of your width in your lats, then I would say, put these in front. Move the Yates rows in front of your deadlifts, or potentially pull deadlifts out depending on how much you want to work your hamstrings. Okay, so here's kind of like where the synergy works. So depending on, do you want to focus on your lower back or your upper back, or do you want like just more hamstring and leg development? Then you can kind of change things around here and work with, basically you want to work against your recovery. So you want to see how you're recovering. And once you get into that next week's workout, are you fully good? Are you fully ripped and ready to go? Then, just start going ham. But you may need to pull things out and move things around just a little bit. Okay, so after we do the Yates row, then we're going to move over to a traditional lat pull down. We're going to be doing 3 sets of these, and you're going to do like 16, 12, 10-ish reps. Again, about 2 minutes rest for these. You can alternate these with assisted or weighted pull-ups if you want to. And the thing is to focus on here is getting a full stretch, okay? You want to fully allow your shoulder blades to protract or move away from the center line of your spine. And this is really going to focus on the outer section of your lats and that top width up here. So really just get a good stretch. Make sure you're pulling the weight down, keeping your chest up, and getting a good contraction at the bottom. After that, you want to move over to rows, and this is going to be some kind of cable machine. You could do dumbbell if you want, single arm or both hand movements. There's like so many different row variations, but just more of like a neutral elbow row, okay, not necessarily super high. If you want to do more lat focus, here's how you remember. If you want to do more lat focused, you keep your elbows down, right? That's really going to activate more of your lats. If you want to work more of your upper back or middle back, keep your elbows flared, keep them up, and that's going to engage a lot more of the top of your back. Okay, so some kind of row variation. It could be chest supported, anything. And you want to do these 2 sets of these, 2 minutes rest. After you do your rows, then you're going to move on to your rear delt fly. Okay, so 1 or 2 sets of those, depending on how you're feeling. Again, I kind of treat these the same as the side delts. 15-20 rep range, 60 to 90 second rest. You don't have to rest as long with these because they're a lot smaller of a muscle group. I'm doing a lot lower weights, higher reps because I don't want to injure anything. Just want to get everything activated. There's a few different ways you can work your rear delts. One way that I really like is using a lot of pec fly machines can be used in reverse. So you kind of, move the weight away from you. or you can do it with dumbbells, just kind of bent over slightly, and you're kind of swinging the weights out away from you. And the very last thing I have on here for your back day is body weight, lower spine, flexion, and extension. I think this is very important for lower back health and just not being so tight. So, and just kind of, again, warming everything up and staying injury free, because I'm all about longevity, right? This isn't even something you necessarily have to do at the gym. I would suggest doing this even every day, or at least a couple times a week. But just standing up and doing some kind of, bending, you bend over your body. And if you have to be really slow with it in the beginning, that's fine, or even assist yourself. But you just want to focus on only using the muscles, yes, only using the muscles of your lower back to bend over forward, kind of like round a little bit, and then straighten, okay? Rounding and straightening means the same thing as flexion and extension, okay? It's all just fancy words, means the same thing. And you're really focusing on actually using those muscles, right? Because if you just never use them, then you can if you never use them, they're not going to be strong, right? So I think it's good to get them working. I know once I started doing that a lot more, I started experiencing a lot less lower back discomfort, especially after doing things like squats, deadlifts, etc. All right, that is it. That's pretty much how the whole thing rolls. And just keep in mind, if you can kind of pull out or add in sets of anything to kind of meet your individual goals. So again, snapshot all those, screenshot them, keep them in your phone, and now you have your whole workout ready to go at the gym. Important factors to think about: consistency, rest, and nutrition. Consistency being these things take time, right? Seeing progress is going to take a lot of time. It's going to take months, years, right? There's no 4-week, get jacked in 4-week plan, right? These things take a really long time. And for them to work, you need to make sure you're prioritizing your rest, letting your body recover properly, sleeping, a good amount of sleep, and you need to make sure you're eating right, okay? If you do not give your body the necessary building blocks it needs to repair, rebuild, and get bigger, then it won't, right? If you don't eat your food, you're not going to grow. It's that simple. So make sure you get out there, eat your Wheaties. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Have a great day.